Ladies and gentlemen, the W's just don't stop coming for us strategy RPG fans. As of the Nintendo Direct of September the 14th, 2023, it was revealed that Vanillaware, famed developers of 13 Sentinels and Dragon's Crown, amongst other things, and Atlus, known of course perhaps the best for the Persona series as well as a number of other titles, are developing Unicorn Overlord, what they're calling the rebirth of strategy fantasy RPGs that's taking clear inspiration from the OG Ogre battle games that came before the release of Tactics Ogre. And man, I cannot believe that that is a sentence that I just said. It's 2023, we have had a series of just banger after banger strategy RPG coming out the last couple of years, and it's looking like Unicorn Overlord is going to be another one. So all we have to go off of right now is the reveal trailer, but there's still some interesting things that I want to break down and discuss, so let's do that right now. Hello everyone, my name is Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman, and if you enjoy what I do, you enjoy my coverage of strategy RPGs or other games like Armored Core, things like that, you like my guides, my news, my gameplay commentary, anything like that, please do subscribe, leave a like, and perhaps comment as well. I'm a growing creator who does YouTube as his full-time career, and growing on the platform can be difficult, especially since strategy RPGs are still a fairly niche genre. So if you could help me out, show a little bit of support, that'd be great. And also stick around for the list of supporters at the end of the video. These people are the ones who absolutely go above and beyond by directly supporting me in the channel. And if you want to get in on that action and either join as a YouTube member or as a patron and get some specific perks, links to do both of those are in the description of the video. Thank you to all of you who support and anyone who might choose to start supporting with this video. Now, as far as information is concerned, there's actually a good amount of stuff to go over here, even though it's only like a minute and a half trailer. So we're just going to go right through things in order. First off, as I mentioned in the intro, this is obviously a game that's taking inspiration from the OG Ogre Battle series. And I have to say up front, I have not played those games yet. I've not played March of the Black Queen or Ogre Battle 64 or anything like that. But I have seen some of the gameplay of those games, so I have an idea of what they look like. And I've also played Symphony of War, the Nephilim Saga, a small indie title that came out last year, that very clearly takes a lot of inspiration in its combat systems from the Ogre Battle series. So I do have some leeway here in knowing how there's some inspiration going on here with Unicorn Overlord. We can see right off the bat that battles take place on the overworld between squads of troops in real time. These battles are timed, although how that timer is going to play out, how long the timer is, and what maybe happens if the timer runs out aren't quite clear. I'm sure that's stuff that'll be revealed with time. When two squads encounter each other, a skirmish takes place between them, and the placement and formation of units within the squad that is doing battle will impact the squad's combat abilities and the capabilities of the individual units in the squad. These squads have activatable skills, which draw on the Valor resource. Valor accumulates over the course of a battle, can be used for skills like this Wild Rush that we see in the trailer, which allows you to charge through an enemy squad to attack units behind them, among other things. I'm sure there'll be a lot of different abilities that you can utilize, both in battle and on the overworld before like a skirmish starts, to move units around, gain health, deal damage to enemies, all that type of good stuff. There are also battlefield terrain features that we can see, such as this watchtower, which grant a variety of bonuses to the squad that's using it, such as increased damage, visibility, skill range, all sorts of stuff like that. I'm curious to see how impactful this type of terrain feature is. You know, is it going to be the end-all be-all if you have a squad of archers, say, in a watchtower holding a choke point? Or is it just kind of going to be like, you can get a bonus when you're able to utilize it, but it's not going to be the thing that makes a squad successful or not. You know, we'll have to see how that winds up playing out. There's also a little mini-map that we can see in the top right that shows the battlefield conditions to help you keep track of what's going on, where and when. Kind of reminds me of the mini-maps in Dynasty Warriors games or just Musou games in general, which when you have this whole battle taking place in real time, having the ability to quickly take a glance and see how things are going just based on where the enemy troops are, where your troops are, should be very useful. So I'm glad that we have that very visible right from the very beginning of the reveal. As I mentioned, once a skirmish begins, your units will use their attacks and abilities according to how they are set up in the formation. And if it's anything like the way Symphony of War worked or the way Ogre Battle games work, you probably won't be able to directly control what your units do here. It's not like you're going to be selecting attacks for them that they'll then go do. It's more like the battle will begin and then your units will use their abilities, they'll use their attacks according to what they have available, what you set them up with prior to the battle, and where they're at in the formation and where there's enemies in the other formation. So like, say if you have some mages in the back line, they might use a single target spell if there's like a big single target enemy, or maybe only one enemy in a particular row of the formation. Or if there's a scattering of enemies between multiple rows, then maybe they'll use an AoE spell to deal damage to the whole party, right? That's just a very small example. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of different things that you can do, but based off of what I know of this type of battle system, that's probably how this is going to play out. If anything, there might be the ability for you to choose to use some of your Valor to activate a specific skill at maybe the start of the battle or the start of a turn in a battle. But more likely than not, most things are going to be automated, and it's going to all come down to how you set up your squads prior, which is exciting because it really makes it important that you focus on the tactical aspect of unit builds and squad builds, compared to something like, say, Final Fantasy Tactics, Fire Emblem, where how you move your units and what you choose to do with them in the moment is far more important in most cases than the way you set them up initially, because you kind of just let them grow into the role over the course of the game, right? Not going to be the case here, from what I would imagine anyway. When you're not in battle, you'll be able to traverse the overworld, speaking with NPCs, taking on quests, exploring, all that type of good stuff. And that army building that we mentioned prior isn't just important when it comes to how you're actually going to be building out your individual units and your squads, but also in terms of actually recruiting new characters and new squad leaders to lead those units, to serve in those units. It's been stated that there are over 60 characters that can join you that are consisting of various fantasy races like humans, elves, wolfmen. I even spotted some bird folk in the overworld, angels, as well as big beasts and monsters and all sorts of fun stuff like that. I imagine we'll be seeing probably dragons and like golem people or ogres and orcs and all that type of fun stuff. So I can see there being a lot of potential build variety for your squads, depending on if you want to bring in a big unit like that or not. And whether these unique characters will comprise all of your playable units, or if you're going to be able to recruit or buy or raise or whatever generic units to fill out your squads, remains to be seen. And it's also unknown if all the units in the game will be acquirable in one run, or if there's going to be things like branching story paths like we can see in Tactics Ogre or some Fire Emblem games that allow you to get different recruits, and maybe you can get them all over multiple playthroughs if there's like a world system like Tactics Ogre. We'll have to see, but it would be cool. Another cool feature that we saw is the ability to design your army's coat of arms using a variety of preset emblems and a full color wheel. I can't imagine this is going to be as in-depth as something like, say, the Armored Core 6 emblem creator, but having the ability to actually design the symbols and the colors that are on your like battle standards as you ride into battle is super cool. It's a really, really nice detail. It's fun to see that they featured that in the reveal trailer, because that's going to let you bring a lot of life to your army. As far as other side things are concerned, there may also be some sort of like cooking mini game or eating mechanic, given this screen that we show here, which highlights some frankly really delicious looking food. And I'm guessing that this is going to provide some sort of a stat buff similar to what you can do in various Fire Emblem games, or maybe like morale boosts for your army to keep their fighting spirit up, things like that. Or maybe for just individual squads, you can tailor like, oh, the melee units are going to eat a bunch of meat because it'll give an attack bonus. Or maybe you'll be able to have like a caster squad eat a bunch of fruits and veggies to increase their brain power and be able to cast spells better. Who knows? Stuff like that could be a lot of fun and allow you to add specific buffs to your units. And either way, no matter how this winds up working out, as someone who has cooking is probably my second favorite hobby after gaming, I'm very excited. I always love when there's any sort of like cooking mini games and anything like that that's given a lot of detail in games like this. So very excited to see how that's going to shake out. There's potentially going to be other mini-games as well that allow you to acquire resources to build out your army, such as this mining mini-game we can see here that gets you a treasure map and some materials to maybe craft weaponry or upgrade armor, stuff like that. And then there's also something else that goes by and is fairly easy to miss, but it looks like there's going to be potentially online play where you can battle for loot with people, which is very exciting. I don't know if there will be matchmaking or if this is going to be a classic, like you can only play with people who are on your friends list, but the fact that this is a game that's not just releasing on the Nintendo Switch, but is also coming to the PS4, the PS5, and the Xbox Series. No PC yet, which is kind of odd, but I would imagine that we're not going to be quite as limited in terms of what we can do online as we are when it comes down to Switch exclusive games with the way that Nintendo does multiplayer. So all in all, there's a bunch of very cool stuff to see here, and that's not even talking about any of the story details, which do sound like they're maybe fairly standard fantasy fare, with a fallen prince of a fallen kingdom who finds a fancy family heirloom that's the MacGuffin that allows them to start rising through the ranks to power and start a rebellion and overthrow the bad people in the world and set the kingdom to rights. But that's fine. It's a reveal trailer. We don't need to get all the super juicy lore details that make everything stand out and be unique. And even if they don't have anything that makes things really stand out and feel unique, that's fine. As long as you have a good, compelling story with fun characters, the strategy gameplay is more than capable of carrying most games like this. And seeing as how these are the same people that made things like 13 Sentinels, where the story is the major draw of the game, I'd honestly be surprised if the story wasn't at least enjoyable and competent, if not outright good. So we'll have to see. The visuals look great. The art style looks incredible. All of the character designs that we've seen thus far look phenomenal. I can't wait to be able to play around with the proper pixel graphics on the overworld and the whole battle situation and everything, and then zoom in and have really nice, hand-drawn, well-animated sprites and everything with all these different designs. It's going to be so much fun. I'm very, very excited to see what's going to be on offer here with Unicorn Overlord. I cannot wait for it to come out. That is March 8th, 2024. It's going to be released, which is just, it's insane. It is insane that we have had just back-to-back-to-back-to-back strategy RPGs since Triangle Strategy released. It's wild, but that is everything to know right now. I will, of course, be covering anything else that's major that we learn leading up to the release, which I imagine will be a lot. So keep it tuned here if you're interested in Unicorn Overlord or strategy RPGs in general. I'm your guy. With that said, though, I'm going to wrap this one up here. Again, my name has been Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman. Thank you all so much for watching. I do very much appreciate it. I hope you all have a good night. Stay safe and healthy out there. And remember, be good to each other. Bye now.